Hello and welcome to another Guardians of Wiltshire video. I'm your host Dewey and welcome to another episode of Send Forth All Legions. This week, the Army of Dunland. On Rohan, raiding villages and burning the Westfold. The deep hatred for the Rohirrim, spurring them on to cause more death and destruction. Leading the Dunlendings into battle is Thrydan Wolfsbane, the war chief of Dunland. It is Thrydan's belief that by aligning himself and his people with Saruman, they may finally defeat the Rohirrim that they harbour a deep hatred for and reclaim the lands that they believe belong to them. Striding into battle with his most trusted chieftains at his side, Thrydan is hell-bent on slaying as many Rohirrim as he can and seizing the throne for himself. The bulk of Dunland's armies are made up of Dunlending warriors armed with axes to smash through the enemy lines. What these warriors lack in martial skill, they more than make up for in brute strength. Alongside these warriors are the wild men of Dunland, unarmoured fighters driven into a battle frenzy as they race towards the foe. The horsemen of Dunland are hard-hitting cavalry that charge relentlessly towards their foe. At the side of Thrydan and his chieftains stand the Huskarls, the most skilled warriors tasked with protecting those in charge. The armies of Dunland hurtle towards their foe with little concern for their own safety, and their exceptional strength at arms proving to be their greatest asset. When the Dunlendings march to war with their leaders at the front, they let out great war cries as they surge into battle, and those that face the wrath of the Dunlendings must endure an onslaught of axe blades if they are to survive. So we'll move straight in with the army composition. So it starts with Thrydan Wolfsbane, who can take a horse, Goroth Ironskin, Frida Tallspear, the Wildman Oathmaker, a Dunlending chieftain who can take a bow or he can swap his two-handed axe for an axe and a shield. And then on to the warriors. We have a Dunlending warrior who can take a banner, a shield, swap his axe for a dagger and a bow or a two-handed axe. A wild man of Dunland who can take a two-handed axe. Dunlending horsemen, Dunlending Huskarls, and Krebine. So the additional rules. Army of Dunland must include Thrydan Wolfsbane. Thrydan Wolfsbane is treated as a hero of valour, which is excellent, and he must be the army leader. Just means he can take in a few extra troops, which is great. So there's special rules. Death to the Foregoil. The Dunlendings have hated the Rohirrim ever since they were forced from their lands, and generations of hatred have made them bitter and resentful to the Foregoil. Friendly Dunlending models gain the Hatred Rohan special rule. So this is +1 to wound against Rohan. Absolutely amazing, very thematic. It means they're wounding most of them on 4s, the troops at least, because Dunlendings are strength 4. Dunlending Pride. Whilst their heraldry may not be much more than tattered cloth and a horse's skull, the Dunlendings take great pride in them and will viciously fight to defend them. The range of banners in this army is increased to 6 inches. This is amazing. I nearly always take a banner, as I've said before. I think they're great, and the re-rolling combats is priceless, especially with heroes nearby. And having that increased as well means your banner can sit even more comfortably away from the fights and still affect the ones that it needs to. And then the really cool one, Dunlending War Cry. As the Dunlendings fight their foes, it is common for the chieftains and war chiefs to begin a barbaric war cry that renews the strength of those around them as they hack and cleave their way through the enemy. Once per game at the start of any fight phase, Thrydan can declare that he is using this ability. Until the end of the turn, friendly Dunlending models within 12 inches of Thrydan gain +1 to wound when making strikes. This is great. It's kind of similar to how A Time of the Orc works, or Gandalf's one within the Rise of Aemir, or Theoden's Death. This is awesome. And especially if you're against Rohan as well, that's +2 to wound on that turn. so you should be able to slaughter quite a lot of them. So the designer's notes. The Army of Dunland Legendary Legion is the main way to play Dunland in a Dunland force in your games, although they can be played as part of an Isengard force. This Legendary Legion allows you to play a full Dunlanding force with all of the benefits the army would have. The Army of Dunland is a very versatile Legendary Legion, and it has access to some good combat heroes in Thryden and Gorolf, fast-moving units in the Crabban and Dunlanding Horsemen, and every Dunlanding is at least strength 4, meaning they can pack a hefty punch in a fight. The Dunlanding Warcry special rule means once per game you can give all your Dunlandings within 12 inches of Thryden +1 to wound. This helps them cut through foes even quicker, and this is particularly deadly against the Rohan forces thanks to their Death to the Foregore special rule. So like I said, suddenly you can have a lot of damage output in a turn, and just a cool army to look at. They're not one that I was really fussed by, but they've really grown on me, and eventually I'll get a Dunlanding force. So we'll come in with the hierarchy of heroes next, at the standard points levels. So, moving on to hierarchy of heroes. This is quite an interesting one for me. So at 450 points, you start with Thryden, and then Gorolf Ironskin always has to be number 2. I think he's just really, really solid for his points, and his free heroic defense against other heroes is really, really strong. And then it's a toss-up between the Wildman Oathmaker and a Chieftain for me. I think whether you want Heroic March is the key question, or whether you want some fearless guys, especially at 450 points. I'll tell you the route I went in the army list in a bit. So 600 points, you have Thryden, Gorolf. Then I definitely take the Wildman Oathmaker, and then it's a split between Dunlending Chieftain and Frida Tallspear. This is because I think the Wildman Oathmaker, with making some guys fearless, is really, really good. Anything that avoids you making courage tests is a bonus. So having some guys who can go and get objectives really quickly is really, really good. Or tie down a troll, especially if you then suddenly ping your war cry and you've got Gorolf in there to strike. You could easily take down a troll in a turn. And then moving on to 750 points, because there's only 5 relatively cheap heroes, you'd include all of them. So I would, for Thryden, Gorolf, Wildman Oathmaker, then Frida Tallspear, and then the Dunlending Chieftain. You can put what you will in whichever warband, is entirely up to you. They are 5 good heroes, and at 750 points you'd be silly not to take all of them. So we'll move on to army lists next. So, with the army lists, we might as well dive straight in at 450 points. So I've included Thryden on a horse, 2 Dunlendings with shield, 1 Dunlending with a banner, 2 Huskarls, 1 Wildman and 1 Horseman. Warband 2 is Gorolf with 3 Dunlendings with shield, 3 Huskarls, 1 Wildman and 1 Crabban. And Warband 3 is the Wildman Oathmaker, 3 Dunlendings with shield, 2 Huskarls and 3 Wildmen. This has 26 models, 2 cavalry and a Crabine, a 6-inch banner, 9 might, 2 heroic strikes, a strong secondary hero in Gorolf, who also has heroic strike, who's one of the heroic strikes, apologies, along with his free heroic defense against other heroes like I spoke about earlier. Lots of possible fight for spear supports, and you've got 5 models who can become fearless with the Oathmaker. I've not included a chieftain in this because I've got a Crabine, and I don't think it's needed. I don't think he's needed for the heroic march. So having that extra bit of movement, both in a horseman and the Crabine, I think for scenarios like Seize the Prize, they're a little bit more useful, and I'd rather the Oathmaker. So in 600 points, I have Thryden, 3 Dunlendings with shield, 1 Dunlending with a 2-handed weapon, 1 Dunlending with a banner and a shield, 2 Huskarls and 2 horsemen. Then I have Gorov, 3 Dunlendings with shield, 2 Dunlendings with bows, 2 Huskarls, 1 Crabine, Warband 3 is Frida Tallspear, 3 Dunlendings with shield, 2 Dunlendings with bow, 2 Huskarls and a Crabine, and Warband 4 is 1 Oathmaker, the Wildman Oathmaker, apologies, and 8 Wildmen. So this has 37 models, 3 of them are cavalry, along with 2 Crabine. I've got 4 bows in there, for if anyone has watched any other of my videos. I like guys who can hold objectives at the back to still be able to do something, so which is why I've got some bows in there. 6-inch banner, 12 might, 2 heroic strikes, a strong secondary hero with an anti-cavalry hero as well, being Frida. Lots of possible fight 4 spear supports, and 8 models who can become fearless. So that's your Wildman. Apologies. I think this is a good force, a nice number of models at 600 points. It's about a number for a defense 5 predominantly force. It's a good number to have. I have a similar number in my Angmar army, and it's my personal playstyle and preference to have a few more extra bodies on the field rather than limiting myself to more elite, lower defence troops. And then at 750 points, we have Thryden on a horse, 3 Dunlendings with shields, 1 Dunlending with a banner and a shield, 3 Huskarls and 3 horsemen, Gorolf Ironskin, 2 Dunlendings with shield, 2 Dunlendings with bow, 3 Huskarls, 1 Crabine, Frida Tallspear with exactly the same warband, so that's 2 Dunlendings with shield, 2 with bow, 3 Huskarls and a Crabine. Warband 4 is a chieftain with a shield. He has 3 Dunlendings with shield, 2 Dunlendings with bow, 3 Huskarls, and Warband 5 is the Wildman Oathmaker and 8 Wildmen again. So this has 47 models, 4 cavalry and 2 Crabine, 6 bows again for those objectives, a 6-inch banner, 14 might, 2 heroic strikes, heroic march, a strong secondary hero in Gorolf Ironskin, an anti-cavalry hero in Frida, lots of possible fight 4 spear supports, and the 8 wildmen who can become fearless. I like the look of this force. I think at 750 points it could do really well. I know Jay Clare, the rules writer, did very well at the 2020 Grand Tournament. He came second from memory with a Dunlanding force at 700, and I know David Clubley has done well with a Dunlanding force at 500 at a big day out back in February 2020. I think these are really cool. I do like the models. I used to own a couple of wild men many years ago, and I think I sold them as part of a job lot. This is way before I got back into the hobby, really. The new Fort George models look really cool. I've got the Legendary Legion page open in front of me. I think Frida and Gorolf and the Oathmaker are incredible models. They just look very dynamic and very much like they fit within the aesthetic. I like the idea of a Dunlanding force. Like I said, it's one I'd like it to eventually own. However, money, etc. is the issue. So if you've liked these videos, please go and check out previous Sandfall Thorn Legions. There will be more coming out. I have planned to do other types of videos as well that will hopefully be on the channel relatively soon. But if you've liked everything, please comment, like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.